Hi, this is Human Essence, and in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to the testimony of Wendi Adelson, this time in Florida versus Donna Adelson. So we've seen Wendi testify in Florida versus Sigfredo Garcia, Florida versus Catherine McManua twice, Florida versus Charlie Adelson, and now she is testifying in the case where Florida is against her own mother with regard to the conspiracy to murder law professor Dan Markel. So there's differences now. This is a different Wendi, but one thing we'll notice is that she's answering some of the things differently. Not in terms of actually different content, but how she says them. So let's listen. This is on Court TV. If a commercial comes on, I'll try and skip it as quickly as possible because that's something that happens here sometimes. A commercial will come on.
I'm an immigration attorney.
How long have...
Wendi is working, or maybe she's working pro bono, but that's a big change. So there's been a lot of demand for immigration attorneys this year. This is 2025. So I guess Wendi is doing what she had, her specialty right now. So she's actually answering that. In former years, she has been saying that she couldn't find work because of the notoriety of the trial, etc. But now she's actually saying she's an immigration attorney.
Have you been an attorney?
Since 2006.
Clear answer. Since when have you been an attorney? 2006. Watch what she does when she starts to ask questions about Dan Markel, when she met him, when they moved to Tallahassee. It's all with reference to Wendi's schooling. Listen.
And you're here pursuant to a state subpoena, is that correct?
Yes.
And that subpoena confers a type of immunity on you. Do you understand that?
So what she says or anything that derives from what she says today or in the other trials cannot be used against her because of the Fifth Amendment, but stuff that's from outside and we don't know what they have can be. But right now, Wendi Adelson has not been charged with any crime. Her mother, by the end of this, has been convicted of murder, conspiracy and solicitation, as has her brother Charlie Adelson, as has Catherine McManua, Sigfredo Garcia, and Luis Rivera made a deal and spoke up about Sigfredo and the others.
I do.
Okay. Which means that nothing you say here in court pursuant to that subpoena can be used against you at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could never be prosecuted. It just means that what you say in court could not be used in any future prosecution. Do you understand that?
So in the past, Wendi has said, I'm not going to be arrested, but now she's just like, yes, she understands this.
Yes.
Right. I want to ask you about your ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Is that a fair and accurate photo of Mr. Markel?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
Blink, blink, blink.
We met originally online. It must have been the fall of my first year of law school, so 2003.
Now, it was online. It must have been the fall of my first year in law school. I'm not even going to comment. Let me reference myself and my accomplishments first for the jury, and then I'll try and guess. Maybe that was 2003.
Okay. And when did you marry Mr. Markel?
It must have been my third year of law school.
2006.
No,
Were
2006.
you living in Tallahassee at some point as a married couple?
Yes.
When did you move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee my final year of law school.
Oh, here we go. Here, see, I jumped the gun with that. But again, when did you move? Say the year. So now she's not only going to say about what she was doing in law school, talk about that, but then she's going to go on and on and on about Miami and back and whatever. So here we
that
go.
would have been in the summer of 2005, and we were here from 2005 till 2006. We spent a year at the University of Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then came back to Tallahassee from 2007 until 2014.
Now, part of this detailed answers seems to be something that Wendi Adelson does, and it seems a bit similar to her mother and her brother. They kind of talk a lot when they talk.
All right, and during the time that you were living here in Tallahassee, did you live over on Trescott Drive?
For some of the time that we lived here, yes.
And when your first child was born, were you residing at the Trescott Drive residence at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have a photo of that here. Is that the Trescott Drive residence?
Yes.
With the police tape.
And how many children did you have with Mr. Markel?
We have 2 children.
So she's saying, we have 2 children. I just want to draw attention here that when she was cross-examined by DeCoste in the second trial of Catherine Magbanua, her answer is when he said, you took the furniture, you took his children, and she says, our children. Now she's saying, we have, present tense, 2 children. The answer is kind of problematic too because of that present tense, but she's obviously trying to say everything we, so she's doesn't seem to be appearing to erase his memory.
What were their ages at the time of their father's death?
It was 10 days before my older son's 5th birthday, so he was 4 turning 5, and our younger son was 3.5. The boys are 14 months apart.
And I'm just going to stop that here to think about the boys are 14 months apart. So, soon after having her oldest child, she was pregnant again with a second child. So going from being a valedictorian, and then she went to college, and then she went to the program in England, and then she went to law school. Her life changed a lot because of the 2 children, and I think that, and being far away, and her mother being very involved, all of that would have had an impact on this marriage. It seems like it did.
And did there come a time when you and Mr. Markel separated?
Yes.
When was the separation?
It was in the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was mine.
How did your ex take that news?
Well, we talked about it many times before it actually happened, but when the separation became official, he was very upset.
Okay, so she's really tweaked that answer. So again, in the cross-examination by DeCoste in the second trial of Catherine Magbanua, when he says, you dropped a bomb on him, because Dan Markel refers to it as like the Pearl Harbor. When he comes home, she calls, he's about to go on stage, she's left, he comes home, everything is gone except for the divorce papers on the bed, and she says, I didn't drop a bomb on him. We talked about it many, many times, and here she's like, well, we talked about it many times, but when it was actually official, he was upset. Almost to make it sound like it was a joint decision. And it really wasn't that. But she's trying to soften the answer. She's definitely changed her approach to this.
And even though there were problems and issues and discussions, it was a surprise to him when it actually happened, right?
It was.
Okay. And was part of the reason for the separation your differing views on how to raise the kids pursuant to the Jewish faith?
I'd say it was a very small part, but it was a part.
Did you consider your ex to be a religious zealot?
No, I didn't think he was a religious zealot, but I did think he was using religion as a way of controlling me.
I'm going to stop right here because this is big. So, Dan Markel was believing, he had one rabbi, and then he had another rabbi from another group that he was following more while he was in Tallahassee, in the area, and he ended up becoming following all of the laws, and which he believed were the laws of God, and wanted those for his children. Now, Wendi is seeing this as he was doing it to control her, which there's no sort of way where you can say somebody becoming more religious than they had been and wanting to follow that religion and wanting to share that religion with their children is for the purpose of controlling her. So this belief, this narrative that other people were hearing, this support that they were giving her, is crucial. This is the problem. And I think that she actually believed this, and I think that there's absolutely no truth to it. And if she had understood that this was not personal to control her, but that he actually believed something different than she believed, and that could be valid, and to put herself in his shoes, it's a complicated thing to have completely different ideas about religion and completely different ideas about what would be best for your children. Very complicated. But she was taking it personally and thinking it was to control her. Right there, that's where we have a very big problem. And then you draw in all the other people who were, believing that themselves, or egging her on, or supporting her in that. And, there's such a thing as being able to say, are you sure that he's doing that to get to you? So if she really didn't believe that he had a bad intent, if she didn't see that, things could be different. Okay, we'll go on. Trying to get it to play again.
Okay, did you think he was more devout in his faith than you were?
I don't know that. I feel like devoutness has to do with maybe a relationship with God, and I don't know that his was more strong than mine, but he was more observant of kosher rules than I was.
Okay, can you explain for the jury what those imply? For those
Sure. So keeping kosher has to do with...
I'm stopping here. So she's explaining to the jury, it is my guess that she's not having the success at relating to the jury that she used to have. Now, if you bear in mind that when Wendi Adelson first was on the stand in a case with regard to the murder of Dan Markel, that she was younger and that she was more confident, that nobody in her family had been charged, and I think she was able to at least make connections with people in the jury. And I think now it's harder. It's harder for them to connect to maybe a woman in her 40s who's been through a very bitter divorce and whose ex-husband has been killed by her, at least one of her family members has been convicted of it. I think she's having not the easy time connecting to them that she usually had, and you'll see what she does.
Separating milk from meat, something like you can't eat a cheeseburger. And it has to do with the ritual way that animals are killed. So
she's getting very nervous when she talks, which is not like her.
Certain meats
her
would be
voice is
considered
shaky.
Kosher or non-kosher. And then things like shellfish are not allowed, or pork would not be allowed. And so his beliefs changed over time. We used to have bacon, and then bacon became a no later on.
So there she goes. She's looking angry. She went from them. I think they didn't respond to her well. And then she's like, his beliefs changed. We used to have bacon. So she's like kind of saying he used to have bacon. And then all of a sudden he didn't. So obviously he was just doing it to control me. That's her narrative. And she's getting all angry. Look at that expression, you know. And he's been dead 11 years. This is not going to go over well to the jury. And she really thinks that he changed what he believed to control her. That's what she said.
All right, and those rules were something that he was wanting to impose on the children, correct?
Yes.
Those rules were something that he believed would be the best for his children, not impose.
Okay, and you were less interested in those kosher rules?
It was less important to me.
All right. Were both you and Mr. Markel raised within the Jewish faith?
We were, yes.
Build a website.
Okay. I'm going to stop now because the commercials come on, but those are just some of the things I noticed this year in 2025 when Wendi Adelson testified. Thanks for listening, and as always, then again, maybe not. Maybe everything I'm saying has no validity. Celebrate uncertainty.